Howdy y'all, it is Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. It is time for a random news update for so many things. It's been, a little slower on the channel right now just because life has been really busy with some master's classes, so trying to get those knocked out and got updated, and now I'm kind of at a good spot where I can actually do other things. Yeah, let's get into some gaming news, some board gaming news, some Disney news. There's a lot of news. So let's talk about Disney news first. We've got some upcoming movies, Indiana Jones 5, and we've also got The Little Mermaid. Watched Peter Pan and Wendy a few weeks ago. It was, watch my review on that because it's a rough film. It really is when you process what actually happened. Yeah, that one's weird. Little Mermaid, the trailers do not help it. It's not going to do well. I still need to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's another side note. I've heard good things about it. I want to go see it. I think so far it's going to be the best of Phase 5, which is just it and one other movie. So that's a thing. And let's see. Indiana Jones 5 has now been previewed. The reviews have come out. They are not kind. So this movie that got reshot has completely fallen apart. And rightfully so. It should. Kathleen Kennedy deserves everything that has happened because she continues down this path and she's allowed to do so. She's allowed to do so, and being allowed to do so means it's Disney's fault. They keep rubber stamping, approving her stuff. It's not good. It's stupid. It's very stupid. So what a dumb thing. What a dumb thing. So yeah, Disney is in a rough spot, but that's not even the biggest news in ways. I mean, I guess it is. The movies upcoming really are big deals, but the other, I think that's bigger because it's Kathleen Kennedy's ultimate sign of failure again. It just seems like she wants to top herself on failures. The Galactic Star Cruiser is closing down, I believe, in September. Yeah, and it should, because it was 2 nights. You get for a family for $6,000, you get a 2-night stay deal. It's way too much money for an experience that, from what little video footage we could ever get, but at least people's descriptions of it, felt very cheap, felt very not good. And it didn't feel like Star Wars either, because the Galactic Star Cruiser, the ship itself, was fancy and nice, and especially when you pay attention to old Star Wars, like the original trilogy, things were dirty or military. That there was not much in between. The only exception to that was we saw Princess Leia's Corellian Corvette, right? So, just an interesting thing. It closed down. It apparently didn't make it even to 2 years of being open, and that's a ton of money that was invested that did not see its return back, because not only did it cost a ton to make, but then you're paying actors and people to oversee and run it on the day-to-day basis, plus the food, right? There's so many pieces here that cost money, and then you're still trying to pay off the very fact of it being built with the $6,000 price tag, and people weren't showing up because they were getting more and more limited on availability, and not because they were full, just because they wouldn't fill the capacity. So they finally went, okay, we've got to close down on these days because we're losing money on these days having it open, because we only have 20, 30 guests or whatever instead of the 150 we need, or whatever it is. So just bizarre. But it's a sign of Kathleen Kennedy and her failure, her abject failure, because she has this idea of do Star Wars without any of the original stuff, and it's killed Star Wars. In a lot of ways, it has killed so much of the Star Wars franchise that it's going to be really tough for it to come back from. And then we've even watched The Mandalorian get roasted apart, and it's sad. It really is a sad state of affairs. So, because I love Star Wars, I love it to death, but it's unfortunately not in a good spot. So Time will tell, you know. But then there's the funny exceptions where Jedi Survivor comes out, and I'd love to get a hold of that because it's apparently just a whole nother level, right? And good for it, right? Good for it. It should be. Like, the fact that exists, though, also shows that something's wrong with Star Wars, because there are stories that can be told that are new. You know, because Jedi Fallen Order into Jedi Survivor, a new character, a new focus, and it's a good focus. So what went wrong? And the answer is Kathleen Kennedy decided everything was a certain way and destroyed a franchise. And she's doing the same with Willow. She's doing the same with Indiana Jones. So they bought Lucasfilm for this massive amount of money, and they're losing it all. So, good job. Good job, Disney, you did it. You know? Anyway, next thing. Overwatch 2. I used to play Overwatch 1, had a good time with that. It was a blast, especially with friends. Like, that was the reason you played Overwatch 1. You played with friends. Now, that being said, Overwatch 2, when it was first coming out, a good friend kept talking about it, and I finally just was like, you know, you said it's coming out, but it's over a year, it's over 2 years. This is, how are you still excited for this whenever it's not coming out? It just doesn't add up here. And then it came out, and lo and behold, they just dropped it from 6v6 to 5v5, and they've now gone to a worse system than loot boxes, which is crazy because loot boxes are a terrible system. And they actually went to a worse system. I'm impressed. Like, it takes some skill to get worse than loot boxes. They went to a battle pass that you can't earn anything in it really for free or anything of any value, and they want you to spend money in their store, buy their skins, and their skins are expensive. They didn't learn the lessons that Fortnite has taught so many companies, and yeah, they got themselves in a bad spot. It really wasn't ever Overwatch 2, Overwatch 1.5 at best. And where it got really crazy, is sad, it was one of the big promises was we're going to have PvE, you know, story mode, and really focus in on that where you level up your characters. And then just a few days ago, news comes out from Blizzard, and hey, we're not really doing that anymore. We're going to have little short snippets of story like sometimes they did even in Overwatch 1. And now it's there. Whew. I mean, I had stopped playing Overwatch 2 in part because the gameplay when it came to the robot mode, where the robot would push the barrier to the goal, and then whenever the opponents would beat you back, the robot would go walking back to the other side to push on your barrier, to push towards the goal that they're trying to get it to on your side. And you just have to wait for the robot going back and forth, so you push it like 2 or 3 feet sometimes, and then they take it over because you're so far away from your spawn, and the robot would go all the way back over, and so by the time you get the robot back to their side, they'd already have all respawned and ready to go again. Just a bad concept. Yeah, man, Overwatch was a lot of fun, and they kind of just messed up. They messed up bad. All right, last thing, and I think it's more exciting, really. I mean, it's actually an exciting thing. Warhammer 40K, I haven't gotten to do some reviews of some of the other factions. I really want to do Leagues of Votann and Sisters of Battle. I just don't understand Sisters of Battle well enough to really make a review on them. But that being said, Tau's another one, too. I want to review, but I also haven't played Tau currently, so it's hard for me to go, ooh, this is new and this is interesting, because I don't know exactly how they are used now. I do know that their ballistic skill is going up again, but they're going to have ways to get it back down. So, you know, that's interesting. But Leagues of Votann, so much of what's coming with them is going to be fascinating, because their judgment token things is changing. And it's simple and a little less insane. It looks like they're people. They're going to have, again, higher ballistic skill, which this is a good thing overall, that is all happening for so many of these people and people groups, that ballistic skill is going up. So they're not just an auto hit, and they're not just an easy win on certain things. Void armor is, memory serves, gone away for them. And, you know, my friend that plays Leagues of Votann, I was like, oh man, he's going to be so disappointed. And actually, he was very excited to see what they're going to do with him, because they're going to, he's processing that they're going to become more of a horde army, especially for their smaller units. And that, I mean, I really appreciated that attitude, because that's a big deal. Like, this is pretty massive change, and today is the day that I'll probably have to make a unit review and stuff, because I have played against the one that's being previewed today enough to go, okay, I get it. And that's the Adeptus Custodes. And my friend, that was his first faction that he played in, and I get it. Like, they're quite the faction. So it's going to be interesting to see. They can't change to a horde faction, because that's not their concept. They are super, super high-end troops. So they need to be the upper echelons of this game as far as point cost for troops and other things like that, and infantry. I'm super pumped to see what changes here, or intrigued if they stay really similar. Do they keep the ballistic skill and weapon skill of 2+? I wouldn't be shocked if they did. Will they have their toughness go up? I wouldn't be shocked if they did in that either. So then they're going to be even tougher to take down, but hopefully the points cost gets adjusted for that too. But it makes sense in this new game scenario that they would be tougher. They should be. They are the Custodes, but you also have to reflect that in the point cost, so that way you don't have them running away with games to the point where they just win. So I'm really excited to see this, and excited to talk with my friend afterwards to see what he thinks of the changes. Because this will be game-changing, literally, for him, because now he's going to experience the Custodes and see a change that he's been excited for quite a while when the previews started dropping. As far as Necrons, we've gotten only that one preview. Reanimation protocols still seem not great. It's funny, it's like on the internet there's some of them that do Warhammer 40k reviews and go, oh my gosh, this is so strong, and it feels like the people in comments go, are you really thinking it through? Because on paper, if you didn't understand the game, you're like, okay, that is a really strong thing. That could resurrect a ton of stuff and or heal a lot of stuff. That's crazy. But once you've played the game, and even those that are doing these reviews, they played with Necrons, especially some of them on their channels that I've watched, like they play with Necrons and they understand it, and yet they're still excited, but yet they start to finally realize eventually, or they just don't, and people in the comments finally say it, because this is happening in your command phase instead of after every round of shooting or fighting in the after the charge phase, you're getting way less back. But what is beneficial to that is the higher end stuff actually can heal off of it and actually resurrect stuff instead of trying to roll 4 or 5 wounds worth of 5s and 6s. So for them it's good, but for warriors and stuff, this is going to be I don't know if a death sentence is quite the right term for it, but it's close just because, it's close just because they're going to take so long to get back to their reanimation protocol. So even though they have some really strong ones, because it takes so long to get back to them, you may not ever see them. Depends on the leaders, right? I'm so excited for the leaders to see what they do, because that might actually alleviate that problem. And that's, part of me's like, okay, just hold judgment till we see the full faction, laid out in front of us. But there's another part of me that just says, what we've gotten previewed left us wondering so much that it's concerning, because it could go either way, right? It could go positive or negative in a massive way. If we do not have a leader that doesn't give the squad a 5-up invuln save, could be serious, right? If we don't have a leader that gets to heal after every combat, or have them roll, or something like that, we're gonna have a serious problem. Just to keep warriors actually on the board, because even though damage is toned down. Some of the profiles here don't feel very toned down, even on the Necron side either. Some profiles have gotten better, and they should have, because some of them were so bad that they were useless. So there's my 2 cents. There's the random big 3 pieces of news that I wanted to talk about. Warhammer 40k 10th edition is going to be an exciting update, and it really does feel like not a new game, but yet, way more of a new game than Overwatch 2. And we're actually getting rules updates like crazy. That's the reality. They're changing things and they're updating things for, I think, so far, on the most part, the better, and that's pretty impressive considering how big of a game Warhammer 40k is. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this new stuff and these talking points. I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. Take care, y'all. Bye.